Hey, we'd like to welcome you to the show today. This is Sandra Johnson. I'm here with my husband, Raymond Smith. Say hi.
Hello.
And our guest host, Pastor John McLean.
Oh, I love being here. You guys always make me feel so welcome. Like I'm like another member of the family.
You are.
You
are.
Yeah.
You are.
Thanks.
Hey, well.
I'm a crazy uncle.
We'll give you that.
Yeah.
Today on our show, we have Michael Oakland, a master inspector with Horizon Inspections, and his son Luke with us. And then the second half of the show, we're going to want you to stay tuned because we have Ramon Genders with the Southern Arizona Construction Career Days. So you'll want to make sure and be around for that. So, Michael, how are you doing?
I think I'm doing pretty well. If I was doing any better, I'd have to be Ray.
Yeah, I get it. 100%.
Did we mention today that Luke's here also?
Yes, good to hear you guys.
Absolutely.
The young Jedi
The
is
team, the team's here.
So I know Raymond wanted to start the show asking a little bit about, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but we got an intense amount of rain yesterday. We got some hail. I thought we were the ones in the hurricane. And so is there anything that you would suggest homeowners go out and check on after having that kind of torrential rain? I know for us, we have 3 12-inch culverts that go through our driveway. They were running at capacity yesterday. So
yeah, that's a really good question. I'd say the easiest one is don't check your roof systems when it's still raining and lightning because you don't want to turn into a human lightning rod. We had to get off the roof pretty fast yesterday because it's like we should get off this roof right now. I would check the gutters. Like that particular house we were looking at yesterday during the storm had full gutters. I mean, we're talking full to overflowing. It was really bad, and it's not. That doesn't take that long to clean gutters. Just take care of that. If you don't, you're gonna probably ruin your fascia board and your eaves.
Yeah.
How often do you think you should check your gutters? Once a quarter, or just once a month, or before the rain? Or?
Around, depending on how close vegetation is. If you got trees that are right on the gutters and they're just dumping debris all the time, probably once a month. Other than that, it's pretty easy around here. It's Tucson, so I mean, your low-hanging bushes and tumbleweeds are not going to bother your gutters most of the time.
I was going to say, Raymond, we were out watching the sunset one night, and he noticed that our gutters were pulling away from the fascia boards, and so he got up to clean them, and they were full of granular off the roof. Well, our roof was only about 10 years old, and we had a 20-year product, so we called out. Roof Tech actually is the one that came out and took a look at the roof, and he said, you guys have maybe 2 years left, but you need to call your insurance company because this is hail damage. Had it not been for the gutters pulling away because of the weight of all the granular that came off, and then once it got wet, it just got very heavy, we would have no idea that we had hail damage on our roof because it wasn't visible from the ground.
Yeah, and the gutters are kind of your catch-all, for no pun intended, for the granular material flowing off. If you have a lot of it, like I've taken pictures of the what feels like piles, like a sandbox. There's just piles of it in the gutter, and you're like, wait a second. Turns out in that case, the seller was really mad at me for noticing that. And he's like, this is a 50-year roof. I've got all this time left on it. He goes, I pressure wash the thing every year. And my brain just went, oh no. You've artificially aged your roof. You've destroyed it. So you didn't realize that you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, so we're saying that do not pressure wash your roofs.
Do not pressure wash an asphalt shingle roof.
Check.
You guys hearing that?
Great advice there.
Okay. Well, Luke, I'm glad to have you here. A question I have for you, you guys support a lot of Tucson. What other areas of Tucson do you guys support?
We do a lot of we've done a lot of work in the surrounding areas, but pretty much all of Tucson. We do Vail, Green Valley, Arizona, Green Valley, Marana. That was the other one. We've done one in Benson. We don't do a lot of work out there really though. But we service a lot of Northwest and Northeast and West Side Tucson as well.
What about Red Rock?
We've done Red Rock before too. Yeah, it's a longer of a drive. A lot of realtors don't really call us from that far because it's quite a far drive, and usually we have a small fee we charge if we drive that far.
That's good to know that there's a fee if you have to go an extra mile.
Yeah, the rule of thumb is if we have to drive more than an hour one way to get to the site, we'll probably have a modest upcharge just to take care of gas.
Right, stupid question.
And I'm going to direct this question back to Luke because he looks like a bright, handsome young man. So is there a differential between like handling the Northwest or maybe when you go down to Benson and kind of the different type of material, different type of construction, and like, are you finding kind of different problems in one place in comparison to another?
I'd say kind of more in like the Benson area. I've only been there. Granted, I've only been there a few times. My father's more one who did the inspections there, but it's kind of more the rural areas. You have a lot more vegetation, so you have a lot more. You also have a lot more wildlife. When you head kind of more of the southeastern direction, you run into a lot of the wildlife and the grass and kind of some other things, and the materials may be different because they're that area of Benson area is not necessarily a higher end, I guess you could call.
Yeah.
Northwest Tucson is mostly a lot of higher end homes, like when you get into Marana. So you're looking at a lot of more like tile roofs, concrete tile, stucco. When one of the ones we did in Benson was like LP siding and wood siding and then asphalt shingle. So it's a lot more, I'd say, lower tier. Doesn't last as long. The service life of the materials is a lot less. So I'd say the maintenance and kind of the different things you do there is a little different.
Yeah.
So yes.
It was that stupid question I was going to ask. Whether or not you guys are certified in the state of Arizona, so you can actually go to Phoenix and to Flagstaff and inspect homes.
Yeah, so I'll take that one. My certification is, statewide, technically, nationally. I'm InterNACHI certified, so that means the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. So the states that don't have a licensure requirement, my certification would cover me.
Oh, okay.
So Montana, for example, doesn't have a license requirement. But states like Washington State, they recognize InterNACHI's training, but you still have to get approved in Washington State for their specific license.
Okay.
So,
Actually, talking about certification is important. So as a home inspector, why don't you talk our listeners through the process that you went through to become a home inspector, and then that extra layer of credentials that you carry by being a certified inspector with
sure.
NACHI.
And explain it all in a
InterNACHI.
minute.
Okay. All right. So it's certified in Washington State. So I went to a qualifying education state there through Washington State of an approved curriculum. Then got certified with InterNACHI, which is based out of Colorado. Then I got certified in Arizona through a separate school in Phoenix, which is covered by ASHI. It's a different organization, trade organization. And of course, the certified master inspector is a separate entity, but you have to be in the business for a minimum amount of time and have to do at least 1,000 inspections, bunch of continuing education before you can
You've done
qualify.
1,000 inspections?
Oh gosh, yeah. I stopped counting at 1,000. I don't know how many it's been.
So are you still qualified in Washington and Colorado?
My license in Washington is expired, but it would be easy to renew it if I ever wanted to. But I don't have any desire to go back.
What's the renewing process?
Well, in Washington, you have to show a certain number of continuing education credits. In InterNACHI, it's pretty much the same thing. So they kind of like, Washington State looked at how other trade organizations were keeping their guys smart, and they're like, yeah, we like that. We'll do that.
Okay.
And so it's just continuing education.
Awesome. Well, we are heading into the break. So when we come back, we'll pick up the conversation with Michael and Luke from Horizon Inspections, and we will see you on the other side.
Yep.
Hey, I'm going to sound like my wife. Hey, we're back for the show. Welcome back. We are continuing our conversation with the Master Inspector, Michael Oakland, and his son,
That's a
Luke.
cool
Michael
title.
Jokeland. The joke. No.
I'm jealous.
It's
Master Inspector of the world.
Does that come with a cape? That's a
Apparently,
great question.
It should.
Apparently,
If it
I'm
doesn't,
Luke's
it should.
father, so I'm the Sith Lord.
Yeah.
I get to wear the Luke.
I am your father.
We're having too much fun now. I see the meter going off.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if
Yeah.
Raven's going to recover from this one.
Okay.
It's okay.
Getting back to the show.
Yeah, we do a
These
radio
guys are
show,
hilarious.
it turns out.
You inspect older home and newer homes. Give me a difference of what you find out when you doing those kind of inspections.
Nope, I have a prejudice against older homes. Won't do it.
Okay.
Totally kidding. No, seriously. Older
They
homes.
do take longer, though, don't they?
They do take longer. Like, I actually pulled Luke out of the mold and asbestos remediation industry. So he was doing new construction. He was working with construction crews, and he was the guy doing like the projectile anime sweat, pulling out like asbestos. And
Oh my
it's just
goodness.
awful.
Oh yeah.
So I
So
was
that's
like,
what that blotch is on your. No.
No.
Probably is.
yeah, he's got another arm growing out of his shoulder.
Yeah, what is that?
No, the
ear coming from?
But yeah, I think older homes, you just have to be more aware of wiring, electrical systems, asbestos content, or at least what you call suspected asbestos material. Other than that, lead-based paint. Other than they're very similar. Some of the foundation systems are different. Plumbing materials different. Like today, probably the gold standard for plumbing material is like PEX. They call it cross-linked polyethylene pipe. There's your $10 word for the day: cross-linked polyethylene.
Okay.
Apparently,
Yeah,
it wasn't as fun as loquacious or one of the other words.
Write
but
it down.
wasn't quite as exciting. As
No,
that
you got to
Can you spell it?
That one
That's
doesn't
the
do
real
it.
question.
IT.
Can-
There you go.
Yeah. Well done.
I spelled it.
Yeah.
Newer homes are. What are you looking for in newer homes that are so different from younger homes?
Yeah, anything post 2008 and maybe even 2014, the electrical panels have almost exclusively arc fault breakers. They got a lot more expensive. I'd say the underlayment system's a little bit different. Sometimes you have the plumbing materials different. You're far less likely to see leaks unless there's something just really installed wrong.
Right.
But I'd say new construction is just way. It's easier to hide mistakes with new construction because the finishes are so much more forgiving.
Okay.
You'll see a lot more cosmetic issues. Like almost everybody's windows today, new construction is insulated, multi-pane windows. Older homes, you have single pane glass. Things are going to shatter and turn into like a horror scene. So yeah, you got to just be aware of that.
So each decade kind of has its own issues. I feel like if someone's looking at an older home from the 20s, let's say 20s to 30s, typically what is the biggest concern that they may see on an inspection report?
Yeah, I'd probably say, again, we go back to electrical and maybe even framing type. 20s and 30s, we're probably talking balloon style construction. The framing is very few, if any, fire stops. The electrical systems tend to be the old school, the old knob and tube, or somebody called K&T wiring. Fuse panels were just really antiquated systems. But even like when you see those homes now, it's still kind of uncommon to see the old fuse panels. They'll typically have upgraded at some point to a regular breaker box.
And then moving into, say, 40s, 50s, and 60s, I think cast iron plumbing comes to mind for me.
Exactly, that's another one. Yeah, sometimes you'll see the old, since I don't do anything underground with cameras, I don't have like the sewer scope cameras, but you can get the old clay lined, or you can even have this asbestos, like cement fiber asbestos pipe. So some of your main drain system vent stacks that you might see at a roof is the old asbestos containing clay. So building materials weren't, what they were, or the old snakeskin style Romex. It's another one.
And when I think of that, it's almost like back when they used to think the planet was flat. I mean, when they were using all this asbestos materials back in the day in building.
That's so funny.
Mind-boggling.
I'm pretty sure that members of the Flat Earth Society have chapters, I think, all around the globe.
Yeah. And so does asbestos as well.
Fair assessment.
Sorry. I couldn't help it.
So
if you're a flat earther, I apologize. Kinda.
Yeah, you're still our friends. We just may not agree with you on all points.
We see, I'm going to say for me, from a real estate perspective, if you're looking at 80s and 90s, probably the ductwork and the polybutylene piping are things that we would commonly see in that age of a house.
Yeah, polybutylene, pretty much, I think they stopped manufacturing it in 1996. So if the house, whenever I get to a house and I look at the year built, if it's 1996 to the early 80s, I'm a little concerned about polybutylene plumbing being potentially still on site.
Okay. And what about newer construction? What would you say are the biggest things that you run into on something that's going to be around 2000 and newer?
Ooh, there's going to be fewer of them, but what I try to do is I try to be fair to whatever building standard was in place. So say by 2001, 2002, if a water heater is there and it has an open style combustion chamber, I typically would want to see that replaced with a newer unit that's got an what they call an FVIR rated or flammable vapor ignition resistant combustion chamber.
How do you keep all the information inside your head?
I don't. Luke's
Okay.
job is to
Okay.
help
Very
push
cool.
data back in
Very
my
cool.
ear when it starts to
Makes
leak
sense.
out.
Yeah.
So,
That's why you guys are such a great team.
Put, like little rolls in the back seat and just like feed it to them.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah.
Put
It
that
makes
back
sense
in
to
there.
me.
So I feel like just in having a conversation with you, it
Yeah.
really shows the depth of knowledge that you do have and what you're bringing to the table. But how does a consumer then differentiate when they are in the process? Most people don't have 2 or 3 home inspectors that they know, and they're
yeah.
kind of
I
just
hear you.
picking someone that's either recommended to them or maybe somebody they find online. What would you say is a way for them to differentiate what the service that you provide with someone who maybe isn't providing that same quality of service?
Yeah, I'd probably say the quality control metric, first and foremost, would be check out, if you can get a hold of a sample report, just look at one.
Yeah.
I would try to avoid service providers that are doing what I call a checkbox or kind of like a fast food report,
Uh-huh.
where it's just inspected, just checkbox all the way down all the different systems, and they're not saying anything. So that's my biggest gripe is when an inspection company is focused more on efficiency and speed and getting as many appointments done as they can, and not as much on quality.
What do you think, Luke? You agree?
Yeah, I really one of our major things is we try to keep a fair, honest amount of efficiency, but also quality to customers and people that we work for. We want to keep the evidence and things that we do find honest, but not over exaggerate, but also not underplayed either.
Right.
So just informing people what they have.
How do we get a hold of you guys?
Smoke signals, carrier pigeon works.
Hold on, let me write those things down.
Yeah, okay. 520-330-9703 is our direct cell number to me. You can also get us on our website at horizoninspectionsllc.com. Check us out on Google. We're in the Vail area, so if you wanted to check out our Google reviews, we got a bunch of 5-star reviews stacking up.
When you first came on and we mentioned it, how long have you guys been in business?
I'd say November 2014, but I think my first real full month was January 2015. Yeah.
All right. We will be back after the break. We appreciate both of you, Michael and Luke, for being here and sharing your expertise with us.